Welcome, so glad you could be here. For those of you in the lobby, if you could begin heading in, that would be super. All right, we are thrilled to have Sheriff Chad Bianco with us once again. He was here a few months ago, but we were so excited that he had a cancellation and was able to stop in to Standing Free, Calvary Chapel San Jose, and SVACR. So on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for being here as well. All right, well, first off, I would like to welcome Pastor Mike McClure, which he's not out here yet, but I would like to, before we do that, announce our upcoming event, which is going to be with Curtis Bowers on June 14th. That is going to be a super event. If you're not familiar with Curtis Bowers, he is one of the leading researchers and person exposing the communist agenda in America and in the West. And so he will be sharing with us once again how you can stop Marxism and communism in the US and, of course, in the West. So he'll be preaching both services in the morning, both 9 and 11 a.m., and then he'll be speaking for Standing Free in the evening at 6 p.m. So if you'd like to register for that, you can go to standingfree.org, and there will also be a VIP meet and greet as well for that event. So be sure to sign up for that. You can go to standingfree.org. And if you are not already on the Standing Free mailing list, you can go to standingfree.org and also sign up for the email list there. We have a great lineup of speakers coming. We have Curtis Bowers, of course, on June 14th. We also have Pastor Rob McCoy later on this year, and so many others. We've also hosted many others, such as Chad before, and we've also had Riley Gaines. We just had Dr. James Lindsay here a few weeks ago, so that was a very cool event as well. So be sure to sign up, be sure to get on the email list. This is also being live streamed, so you can go to Standing Free Official on YouTube, and you can grab that live stream link and send it to your friends who were not able to be here. Who knows why they would be other places other than being here to hear the sheriff. But if they were not able to make it, you can send them that live stream link and they'll be able to watch that in real time. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Pastor Mike of Calvary Chapel San Jose, the lead pastor, who's going to open us in prayer and say a few words.
Thanks, Cooper, and thank you all for being here. Hopefully you're all going to represent about 3,000 votes each. You know, they say pastors shouldn't get involved with politics, and so that's why I don't. I let Cooper do all the work. You know, I think one thing that we're suffering in California is a lack of spine and truth-telling and honesty, and I think even the people, we don't know what to believe anymore because of the way the world is. But I do think if we don't, as Christians, pray as believers, we're going to lose our country, our state. The Bible says that if the foundations are broken up, what are the righteous going to do? If we lose our foundation, and it's worth fighting for. It's worth standing in the gap for in prayer and for even voting for people who will do that. And it's a blessing to have Chad Bianco running for governor. I've gotten to know, I think, 4 or 5 of those in the race, and I can vouch for Chad's character. And I know his pastor, Tim, and it's a blessing to have him here today. And I think if we can make a difference, it's going to start with prayer. And if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, he's going to hear from heaven and he's going to heal our land. How many want to see California's land healed? You know, I want to see a healing. We're living in a beautiful state. How many people have known someone who's moved away in the last few years because they just couldn't take the politics and the problems anymore? Thank you for staying. How many have thought about leaving in the last year? You know, it's like, listen, stay and fight. And I appreciate that so much about Chad and his wife and his family. They're here to really stand up for what's wrong. So many politicians are on the take. They got their own agenda. They want power. I've known a lot of politicians, and I'll tell you that Chad is not that kind of politician. It's a blessing to have him here today, and I think you'll find out. Last time he was here, he took more questions. We had Steve Hilton here. I think he took 2 questions and left. You know, it's like, I look at what's going on in the world. We need to have someone with answers and know the problems and know where to fix those problems. As a pastor, I think that the real solution is obviously going to be when people come back to the foundations in this country and we are able to stand on a foundation that's strong. And it really is the Word of God. It really is the truth of the gospel message. And if we can wake up the people, how many watched the movie Great Awakening? Anyone here watch the Great Awakening movie? Such a great film. And that's what we need. We absolutely need a great awakening in California. And so I'm going to pray for that and pray for Chad. We have an election coming up in June, but it's November. It's the big one. But the truth is we need, if we're God's people, we need to pray and we need to intercede. In Ezekiel, he said, God says, I couldn't find anyone to stand in the gap before me to make up a hedge so that I wouldn't bring judgment. There wasn't anybody. And so I want to thank you for standing in the gap. And we know it was 120, if you read the book of Acts, that turned the world upside down. And we need to turn the world right side up today. It is already upside down. And here we are at the end of, uttermost parts of the earth, right here. You go from Jerusalem, this is it, San Jose. And you're here, and let's pray that God does a work. And let's pray right now. Lord, we just thank you for your hand of blessing that we recognize today as recipients of, Lord, your hand upon many people who have given their life. They've given their energy. Lord, they have built a country upon your name, upon your word. Lord, there's no country in the history of the world that's been as blessed, other than maybe Israel at times. But Lord, we see it's you that built this country, and it's because it was the truth by which we built it. And so we recognize, God, as recipients of your blessing, and we pray you'd have mercy upon us, Lord. We want to humble ourselves and come before you and, Lord, recognize just the wickedness in our state and how we, Lord, need to repent, change our mind about these things. Lord, you love everyone. You're not willing that any should perish. And you want all, as your word tells us, to come to repentance, to change our mind about you and not to believe the devil's lies about you, but to recognize, God, that you loved us so much you sent your son who laid down his life for us. And if you've given us your son, like it says in the book of Romans, you're not going to withhold any good thing from us. So, Lord, I pray you'd give us a governor that would fear you. Lord, we pray for Sacramento. Lord, I just look at that. It's really just like a cesspool. It really is. Of just unrighteousness and wickedness and just everything that's evil. But we know, God, you can change hearts. I pray even for our current governor, that you would just convict him and change his heart, and that you would do a work, God, that only you can do. And we look to you today and just recognizing, God, that we get to choose our leaders. It's we who are the government. And Lord, so many people do not know who to choose because their hearts aren't right. And so we recognize it's the heart that's the problem. Lord, we pray you change the heart of our current leaders, our state, and that you would do a mighty work today. Lord, we know you can do all things. With you, we're our majority. And so I ask, God, that you would just go before this election on Tuesday, and that you would just inspire us to pray, to intercede, and that you would just be glorified. And so we thank you, God. We thank you for the opportunity to vote. And I thank you, Lord, for Chad, for his wife being here, and for his faithfulness to you, to uphold the law and to do what's right, and to even take the time to run to see if he could intercede and save California. And we pray you give him favor, and we ask this in Jesus' name. And everyone said, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Mike. Appreciate that. Well, we're so happy that you would come out to be with us on a Saturday afternoon when there were so many other things to do on this beautiful day. So we thank you for being here, caring so much about our state, and really caring for the people of our state. And so I think that's so important. And like Pastor Mike said, it's so important that that change comes from the ground up, from each one of our hearts to each one of our neighbors to each one of our citizens of the state. And so if you don't have a church, if you do have a church but want to come to a church that is more engaged, but primarily if you don't have a church, be sure to come back tomorrow morning. We have 2 services at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. you'll be welcomed in, and you'll get to hear more great preaching from Pastor Mike, which we all enjoy. So if you don't have a church, be sure to come back tomorrow morning for 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. service. All right, well, I know that we are all here to hear Sheriff Chad Bianco, and so we want to listen to him. We're also going to have a Q&A session afterwards, so be sure to listen critically and have your questions ready for the sheriff. We want to make sure that we vet him thoroughly and make sure that he is who we want for California. And as I look over, it's always such a blessing to see him traveling with his wife as well, and so we always appreciate that about Sheriff Chad. So without further ado, let's welcome up Sheriff Chad Bianco, candidate for Governor of California.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Did you hear me? Oh, yes. Now I heard it. It's like that didn't sound like it was coming through. I don't usually use these very much. I usually hold the microphone, and someone's always telling me hold it closer, and this one is very loud, so I'll try not to make it seem like I'm yelling at you at all, because I'm not, unless at the very end, I'm going to yell at you to vote. But other than that, not. Thank you all for coming today. It's very comfortable for me, especially to be in a church. It's almost like, oh, it's a safe space. But it's fitting for you to come here, especially for this election, and listening to what Pastor said earlier about where we are in California and what we need, and we need an awakening and everything else. It truly is very true. And I've been thinking it for several years as being the sheriff, and as I fight in Sacramento for the ability to keep you safe. It's over and over. It's like, man, this isn't even common sense anymore, and it's not even like it's politics anymore. And I've come to the realization that if I offend you, I'm sorry, and if you don't agree, I think you're not paying attention enough. But it's more of along the lines of good versus evil. It truly is what I am fighting. When you look at the people that I'm running against, and the things that they stand for, and the things that they say, and the things that they think are okay to do with kids, and things like that. It's not politics anymore. It's not Democrat versus Republican or independent. It really is it is a spiritual battle, and it's good versus evil. And we know as Christians that there certainly is evil out there, and the enemy is always looking for ways to take advantage of us. So it's good to be with all of you. And for the last little while, as I've been giving speeches, I didn't realize this, and it's something new that I learned too. So you're going to learn it all today. This little thing that little bit of knowledge that I can tell you about California. There's in our lives, we have all been told that there has to be a separation of church and state. And they're separate, and the powers that be threaten our churches and threaten our pastors that will take your money or will take away your nonprofit if you get involved with politics. And the reality is it was never intended to be that way. Our founding fathers never intended for a separation of church and state. What they intended, and it was very specific in their writings, is that government was not supposed to be involved in the church. But church was always intended to be a part of government. And they set up our government they said in the writings that the Constitution and the form of government that they were giving to us and presenting forward was only for a godly nation. And if there ever came a time that we were not a godly nation, the Constitution and the documents that they were setting forth might not be relevant anymore. And we're coming to a point where we really need to start fighting for our government and the government that they intended, because we're going down that path. But I want to emphasize that by saying, for all of us, and I'm looking around the room age-wise, I think that we all sat around on our couches watching our TVs, and you all know what Schoolhouse Rock is, right? And you all know the preamble to the U.S. Constitution because of Schoolhouse Rock, and we can sing it in tune if you want. Yes? No? Okay, there's lots of nose shaking out there. We know what the preamble of the U.S. Constitution is because we sang about it when we were kids. But does anybody know what the preamble is to the California Constitution? That's a good question. So I'm going to give you just the first 12 words of the California preamble to the California Constitution. We, the people of the state of California, grateful to Almighty God for our freedom. There was always an intent for God to be in government. From the beginning of California, the first words, the first sentence of our Constitution, of the government that they gave us, the people that formed California after the U.S. was already formed, intended for God to be a part of our government. And unfortunately, God is being pushed out of our government, out of society even, and we're suffering the consequences. So I do appreciate being able to be here and being with you to be able to talk about how we're going to save California, fix California, and make it all better. And one of the things, about me, I will tell you just to start with, I am first and foremost a God-fearing man, husband, dad, grandpa, and then I go to work too. And that influences all of my life. And I became thrust upon the national stage because of COVID. And my stance against the COVID mandates that I was not going to, thank you. I was not going to close down churches, arrest pastors, arrest the speech that I gave, and the phrase that was used most often was a single mom trying to put a roof over the head of her kids and arrest her for trying to go to work. We were all essential, and it was an overreach of government. So me standing up to that put me in the spotlight. But in California, it put me in a bullseye also, in a political sense, because on the Democrat side, because they made it very, very political, they decided in my county that they were going to get rid of me. The Democrat Party had to figure out how to get rid of me. And so in my 2022 election, they hired a firm from New York to come and run their campaign to unelect me, to find somebody to unelect me and figure out how they were going to go about that. And I will, granted, the Zoom meetings and everything else that we've evolved to was relatively new, and they didn't make it a closed meeting. They just had a Zoom meeting that anybody could get on, so I got on it. And I listened to what they were saying, and it was very interesting because it was all Democrat leaders. There was the ACLU was involved, some newspapers were involved, a couple of elected officials. But they came right from the very beginning, they came up with top 10 reasons why I should not be elected and why I cannot be the sheriff. The very first reason was because I pray. That was the first reason. The second reason was because I like guns. And then I got off the meeting. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't even care what they say from this point forward. I get it, they don't like me, but I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So it truly is a battle of good versus evil, and we are fighting that spiritual battle, and I encourage all of you to make sure you pay attention, to make sure you encourage all of your friends, especially those that attend church, because what we're realizing is that 60% of the people that attend church in California do not vote. And for the most part, we all have the same values. We all have the same family values. We all have the same, worldly values. And we're not letting our voice be heard. Show of hands, how many of you think California is broken? Okay, I was going to say after how many of you have thought about leaving and all of your hands went up, you would not think about leaving if you didn't think California is broken. But I used to answer the same way. I used to raise both hands because I think it's doubly broken. But it got put to me a little bit different way, and I was like, I guess that's right. Maybe I am looking at it a little bit wrong. So how many of you think, well, we're Christians, so don't answer in that realm, but how many of you think you're broken? I don't think any of you are broken. I honestly don't. How many of you think, well, I can tell you, our law enforcement's not broken. Our churches aren't broken. Our teachers aren't broken. Our businesses surely aren't broken. The consumers to all of our businesses aren't broken. There's not really, our weather, if you go outside, that certainly is not broken. there really isn't anything broken in California except for the politics. And it's controlled by 130 people in Sacramento. Out of 40 million people in this state, 130 people make the decisions. And because I have to make it about politics and how we're voting and voting wrong, 90 of them are Democrats. That's the supermajority that everyone talks about, and that's why the things are going wrong in California, because everything is, they just do whatever it is that they want. There's nobody to stop them. There's no way of stopping them. Regardless of the 40 million people that they represent, there's 90 of them that all do the same thing together, and that's just the way it is. We know in California that California government has come out and said that we are the most corrupt state in the country for fraud. It took a 23-year-old kid 2 days to come here for 2 days to find $300 billion worth of fraud. So instead of our government trying to stop the fraud, they just made it illegal to identify the fraud. It's crazy. We're getting crazy. So I would, instead of saying that California is broken, and some of us raised our hands and said that we were broken, but I think the only thing broken is our pickers. And we keep picking the wrong people to go to Sacramento to represent us. And I think it's a little bit of apathy. We've become complacent of who we're going to vote for, and we vote for bright, shiny objects, or we vote for what we're seeing right now. We vote for who the polls tell us to vote for. But we're not looking into character. We're not looking into their past. We're not looking into honesty, leadership ability, those types of things. And I think that while we were very, very concerned about our families and our businesses and our jobs and everything else, I think we weren't paying attention to where California government was going, and it caught us by surprise. And it caught up to us to where now we're saying, well, man, it does affect me. And when did that happen? And then we realized it was 5 and 10 years ago that certain bills or certain laws were put into place, and now we're wondering how we're going to fix it. But the reality is we can. And our government was set up specifically to allow us to be able to fix it. Every 2 years and every 4 years, we get to elect new people to represent us. And that's where we are right now, is we're at a point where we can elect new people to represent us. So I'm hoping that it's me that you're picking to elect you, and how we can make California better. So I definitely will tell you, and I'm extremely quick, I'm just going to gloss over it. I'm going to tell you that in my firm belief, I'm the only one, if we're just going to go off a resume, this is a big position. The governor of California, the biggest in the entire country. You should have some type of qualifications to be there. And I will tell you that in my belief, looking at everybody else's running, I'm the only one that has a remotely close, capable, qualifying resume to be in this position. I've been in law enforcement for 33 years. So a public servant, which what any elected official is, I've been doing this for 33 years, coming to work every single day. I put a badge and a gun on, and every single day I go to work to make sure that everyone else's life is better and safer every single day. And I did that for roughly 25 years before the County of Riverside elected me as their sheriff, and they re-elected me again in 2022 for a second term. So the sheriff is an executive level of government, and at the county level, I'm the highest elected official in our county. It's the same as your county, but that's how our government is set up. So I'm the only person on your ballot that has the experience at the executive level of government that actually makes decisions that have consequences for other people. And I do those on a daily basis. My department, thank you, my department, the Riverside County Sheriff's Office, is the second largest in the state, the fourth largest in the country. It's extremely large. I have 4,400 employees, 12 patrol stations throughout my county. The county is massive, 7,800 square miles. But I have 12 patrol stations that manage 17 contract cities. So in addition to being the sheriff, and dealing with my Board of Supervisors and Executive Office, I'm also the Chief of Police of 17 municipalities. So I have 17 city councils, I have 17 city managers, mayors, all of those things that we have to deal with constantly to make sure that their city is taken care of as far as law enforcement goes. I have 12 Indian nations in Riverside County that operate completely outside of government in a government relationship. They are a sovereign nation. They don't answer to anyone in this state. They actually don't answer to anyone in the country. But in their speed dial, if the chairman or the chairwoman of any Indian nation, when something goes wrong and they need help from anyone, there is only two numbers that they call: the President of the United States or their sheriff. And that is a fact. They don't call mayors, they don't call city councils, they don't call any elected official, they call no one in this state. They call the president himself, and he answers, or they call me. And I've learned that I have to answer too. And it's a great relationship. It's a relationship building thing that with completely different thought processes and backgrounds and everything else, but we make it work, and we make it work very well, which gives me a kind of a unique ability to go into Sacramento in completely different worlds and make things work, even in the political world with Democrats and Republicans. Outside of that, I have 16 courthouses in Riverside County that I'm responsible for, 5 jail facilities with roughly about 4,200 inmates on a daily basis. I'm the coroner and the public administrator, and my budget is just short of $1.3 billion per year. I am the first sheriff in Riverside County that has ever finished in the black, and I've finished 7 years in a row. My 8th year will be this June, because I do not believe that government is supposed to be spending more money than it has. And that alone is going to be the biggest shock when you send me into Sacramento, because they think we run off of monopoly money, that you just make more, and their making more is just taking it from you. When they run out of money, they just figure out a way that they're going to take more from you. And we're going to change that philosophy when I get there. So if you look at everyone else on the Democrat side, they are all of the same people that have put us here in this position to begin with. They are career politicians that made all of the bad decisions, the bad laws, the bad policies, the bad regulations that find us here with the highest cost of living in the country, highest cost of gas, the highest poverty, the highest homeless, the highest unemployment. We know that's why we raised our hands thinking that we were leaving California, because of the politics, not because of the environment we find ourselves in or our friends and family. It's just bad government policy, and we're going to fix that. So what is California going to look like with me as your governor? It's going to look very, very different than what it does today. For some of us that have been here, if you've spent your life here and you're older, you remember when California was great. You remember when California was the envy of the entire country in every aspect, whether it was our law enforcement, our schools, our healthcare system, our government. Everything about California was better than the rest of the country. We remember that, and we can get it back. We can get it back relatively easily. And by the time I finish, and it won't be that long because I want to make sure that I answer all of your questions that you may have, I'm just going to tell you the basic of how I'm going to change the framing of our government, how easy it's going to be, what the cost of living is going to look like, and then you can ask me anything that you want. Our government is only backwards because our priorities are out of whack. Government is all supposed to have the same priorities, and they're very, very basic. There's only 3 basic priorities of government. The rest is fluff, and it's designed like that from the very beginning. The number one responsibility of any government is public safety. You have to keep people safe. The government is supposed to be keeping people safe. I can do anything I want with our cost of living. I can lower it as much as possible. I can give you free gas. If you're not safe to go to the gas station, you're not going to want to live in California regardless of the cost. If your kids can't go play outside in the middle of the day, it doesn't matter how much things cost. You're not going to want to live here, and that is the number one role of government is to keep us safe. Local government, it's a combination of police and fire, but we owe it to you to keep you safe. I am promising you that for the first time in a minimum of 14 years, it's really almost about 25 years, but I can point to the day, it's 14 years ago. For the first time in 14 years, crime is going to be a crime again in California. I will make sure that those who are victimizing us suffer the consequences of breaking the law and making us victims. In a civilized society, we don't engage in capital punishment. We don't chop off fingers or anything like that. We just send you to jail. And if you learn a lesson, you get out of jail and you can go be a productive member of society. But if not, you go back. And if not, you go back for longer, and it's increasing until maybe we don't let you out again. We passed a law a long time ago, the 3 strikes law, that if you 3 strikes and you're out, if you're not going to learn your lesson and you're still going to victimize us, we're going to put you away and we're going to keep you there. And we let that go away quite some time ago. Our politicians took that away from us. We will bring it back. We will make you safe. I can promise you, I hope you can all see that that's going to be my expertise, is going into this position, is to make sure that I keep you safe, both in the fire side and in the natural disaster side and in the law and order side. We also have we're learning, we have an absolute, it's not just crime, it's corruption even in our own government. And I will tell you, there is nothing makes me happier in life than arresting people. And I can tell you, when you send me to Sacramento, I'm still going to be a cop, not full time, but it's going to give me great joy to arrest the people who have been victimizing us, either in our own state government or the people they've been giving our money to that have been stealing it from us. So public safety will be a priority. The second responsibility of government is infrastructure. And infrastructure is everything from our dilapidated roadways, our horrific freeway systems that were built decades and decades ago, and we've doubled in population, but nothing else was done to increase for that. There was just a study that came out. It was a nationwide study. California spends like 4 times, 10 times more than every other state in the country for its roadways, and we are ranked number 50 in quality of roadways. We absolutely must reverse that. And I'll tell you, there's a little bit of cost that goes involved with it, but there are so many things that cause that to happen and cause us to not be able to build roadways, and why it takes 15 years to get anything done. It's all a regulatory process that we're going to remove, and I'm going to explain to that how easy that's going to be later. But we will make infrastructure a priority. We will build more roadways, more freeway systems. We will upgrade them to where we're not destroying our cars when we drive on them. One of the big issues about infrastructure is electricity. California is failing us in electricity. How many of you had your electric rates raised last year? Half of you raised your hand, so that tells me that your spouse pays your bill. Because everyone had their rates raised last year. Everyone. But here's a little secret for you that your governor doesn't want you to know, and certainly your legislature doesn't want you to know. The power companies, whether it's PG&E, SCE for the South, or San Diego Gas and Electric for the very South, they have zero ability, absolute zero ability to raise your rates. The power companies cannot raise your rates. It is the state of California that's raising your rates. It is the CPUC that is raising your rates. And they are raising your rates every single year solely to give the power companies profit for shareholders. The 3 power companies last year made nearly $7 billion in profit, all on your back, while at the same time, they can't even provide you power on a year-round basis. We have rolling brownouts and blackouts all across the state because the power grid is not enough to supply us the electricity that we need. They told us that we have to go to electric vehicles, but they told you can't charge them because we don't have power. On day one, I will tell you that every single member on the CPUC will be fired. And not only does the state government have the ability to raise your rates, I also have the ability to lower them. And on day one, all of you will get a minimum of a 50% reduction in your electric bill. We will force the electric companies to not only upgrade their infrastructure, bury lines in mountains that are supposed to be buried through cities instead of overhead and everything else, bury the ones that are supposed to be buried, update their infrastructure, but also move to a nuclear power source. In the name of the environment, we have been told that we have to switch to green and solar and wind. The reality is solar and wind are completely scientifically incapable of providing us the power that we need. And most importantly for California, it is not safer for the environment. Nuclear is the absolute cleanest energy other than water. Hydroelectric is the cleanest. There's nothing to that. But nuclear is by far next. And not only is it more powerful, more reliable, more economical, but it is by far safer for the environment than wind and solar. And we have allowed the power companies in California to not go toward that, even though they want to, and that's a whole different argument. But where the control is in California is environmental activism. And environmental activism, through their attorneys and activists and everything else, are the ones that are controlling these boards and commissions that run all of the things that we have in California. And I have the ability to change that. Every single board and commission, the CPUC, will be replaced with people who actually care about you. We will actually put people there who want your lives to be better. One of the things about California is we should be independent in everything, but especially energy. We buy a lot of our power from out of state, and it's coming to a head right now in Lake Tahoe. The California side of Lake Tahoe has just been told that they are no longer going to get electricity. They get all of their electricity from Reno. And Nevada has said, we aren't doing it anymore. We need all of the power that we have for the infrastructure and for the growing that we are doing. We are no longer going to sell you our power. And California doesn't know what they're going to do because they have no ability to get power to Lake Tahoe on the California side. There is no reason ever why we should be reliant on somebody else. We should be energy independent in our state, not buying it from somewhere else. And as your governor, we will be energy independent. We will force the energy companies to do it. Another issue that's big through the Central Valley here, through the Central Coast or Central Valley, and really even it starts in my county, Imperial County, all through my county, all the way up north, is agriculture and the issue with water. Water is probably the biggest issue that we have in California. That is an infrastructure issue that government is supposed to maintain to make sure that we can not only drink water, but we have water for our food, for our agriculture. I don't care how old any of you are. I am telling you that scientifically, geologically, we have never had a drought in California. We get more rain and snow than any other state in the country every single year. And by design, 70% of that water is run straight out to the ocean, so we can't use it. Almost 15 years ago, we all voted for a massive, massive, massive bond measure because of droughts and because of a lack of water. And it's common sense how you get more water, you save it. And so we voted for a measure to build more dams and reservoirs. That was 15 years ago. The only thing that's been done since then is 4 dams have been removed. And Newsom has vowed to remove 2 more before he leaves. That's not how you save water. That's not how you manage water. So it proves that we don't have a water problem. We have a massive water management problem. As your governor, I am promising you we are going to build every single dam and reservoir that we need for surface water. When you do that, you are able to provide the farming community, the ag community, with 100% of the water that they need to flood their crops. When you do that, that water sinks down into the ground, into the natural aquifers, and then we have drinking water. That's how it works. And we are purposely sabotaging it to make it not work. The state is forcing all of the surface water to the ocean, forcing our agriculture and then us as for our drinking ability to pump that water from the aquifers, almost 100% of it. And so now all across the state, the natural aquifers are being drained because we're using it to water our crops instead of using surface water. It's just massive water management problem. And it's not because they're not intelligent. They're very intelligent. It's on purpose. And we have to realize that, and we just have to put the right people in place to reverse it. We will have all of the water that we need. We will have 100% of the water for our ag community. And when those water aquifers are replenished, we will always have enough water for our cities, our towns, our drinking, and watering your grass, because we have never had a water problem in California. So all of our infrastructure is going to be a priority. The third role of government is education. It is up to the government to make sure that we are educated so that when our kids get to adulthood, they're actually productive members of society. They can take care of themselves. They can get into whatever it is they want to do, but they have to be educated. And we are failing. We failed a generation of kids, possibly even 2. There is a big study about learning, about your brain and everything else, and it's not even controversial. It is very, very, very well known that the success is very much almost 100% dependent on reading ability. And your success, we have to make sure that kids are able to read by 3rd grade and they were able to comprehend what they read by 6th grade. 6th grade reading comprehension is the lower limit, the lowest limit that will determine success later on in life. And right now in California, our high school seniors that are graduating, only 48% of them are at 6th grade reading level. We're failing our kids because we're no longer teaching them how to be smart. We're no longer teaching them how to think for themselves. We're no longer challenging their brains to grow. Instead, we are telling them what to think and telling them how to react to things. That all has to change. We have to go back to the basics of reading, writing, math, teaching them how to balance a checkbook, teaching them history. One of the most important things, teaching them civics, how our government is supposed to work. We absolutely will get back to that. As a shameless plug, I'm telling you, for all of those that haven't voted yet, when you vote for me on your ballot, when you get down to the bottom one, the bottom statewide election on your ballot, the last, and it's just that's the order that they have it. I need help in the realm of schools, and I'm asking you or telling you to vote for Sonia Shaw to be the superintendent of schools. Sonia is the current president of the Chino Hills School Board. She has been fighting our state for years and winning. She is a warrior mom for not only her kids, but for all of our kids too. And she will make a massive difference in the education system and the agenda that they have forward. But as the governor, I can affect a lot of things. And what I will tell you is that I am going to absolutely force into every single school district the reintroduction of trades into the education program. We've got to give our kids the tools to be successful. And on a more personal level, as your governor, I will absolutely ensure that there is never again another boy in your daughter's locker room. No more boys and girls sports. And for those of you grandparents, parents, or soon to be expectant moms and dads, you're not going to have to vaccinate your kids to get them into school. That is the basics of government. Everything else is fluff after that. But California, unfortunately, is suffering from a bigger issue, and it's the cost of living. It's too expensive to live in California. We can no longer afford to live here, whether it's gas, groceries, houses. It's too expensive. It is up to the government to fix it, because I will tell you, it is the government that has caused it. It has purposely been caused, and we can fix it. This is how easy it's going to be. A long time ago, we already made it very difficult for our legislators to raise our taxes, to influence in certain ways, because we voted in percentages that they had to make to get something passed. Well, it was very difficult for them, because it showed that we could look at those voting records and see who we wanted to hold responsible for making our lives difficult. Well, they found a workaround, and the workaround is the regulatory process. And the regulatory process was created to allow boards and commissions to create the rules, regulations, and fees that were imposed on all of us. So they no longer raise our taxes. They just randomly and anytime they want increase fees. That's why your DMV fees keep going up and up and up. They found that the easiest thing that they can do, they all know you have to drive. They all know you want your cars. And so the easiest way for them to generate money is to just increase the DMV fees that you have to pay every year. That is all regulatory in nature, and this is what you have to believe me. The legislature did not make them a law. You all didn't vote on it through the proposition environment. 60 to 70% of the things that are making our lives difficult in California are through the regulatory agenda. The governor, with a stroke of his signature, a pen in his signature, can remove every single regulation. Every single one. And when I say I'm going to do that, which I am, it's not everyone. I am going to remove all of the regulations that are California specific. I am going to make a level playing field with California and the rest of the country, because no other state has the regulations that we do. How many business owners? Just business owners. There are over 400,000 regulations on your business. And you wonder why businesses fail in California or why businesses want to leave. They can't afford to operate here anymore. Their businesses are going under, so they're leaving. They're either selling them or moving them out of state. We are going to remove all of them. So the cost of living is the biggest issue. The number one driver of the cost of living is gasoline. You shouldn't be surprised that we have the highest cost of living, because gasoline drives everything. It transports us, it transports goods and services. Gasoline makes our agriculture industry happen because all of the equipment utilizes gas. Unfortunately for us, we are massive users of oil. And currently, we import 80% of the oil that we use comes from the Middle East and a little bit from South America. We are making the Middle East rich, and we are getting nothing for it. A little secret in California, we don't even have to talk about the coastline. Just Kern County alone has more oil than we could ever use in the state of California in 1,000 lifetimes. It is never going to go away. As your governor, we will be 100% oil independent. We will only use California oil. Here's what they don't want you to believe. It's all about the fear about the environment. The reality of the California oil industry is we have the most cleanest and safest drilling facilities, and refineries in the entire world. This is not about the environment. It is far worse to get oil from the Middle East that has zero regulation and then ship it 3/4 of the way around the world with the oil that they use in those ships is worse than diesel fuel. It's 10 times worse on the environment. And here's the bad part. It's 5 times more expensive than if we just did it ourselves. And then the largest issue is it generates money for the state. How the oil industry works is every gallon of oil that they take from the ground, they pay a fee to the state for taking it out of the ground. That's how it works. That's how it works in Texas, Alaska, the Dakotas. It works here like that. We just don't use our own oil, so we get no benefit. We are going to get the benefit. It's a natural resource in California that we can get the benefit from. There's also another one, and it's logging. We will bring logging back into California. We will manage our forests how forests are supposed to be managed. We will keep them clean. We will keep them less overgrown. What we have now is decades of hands-off approach to our forests, and that's why we have forest fires every single year, losing millions and millions of acres of land, because the brush, the trees are so overgrown that when those fires start, you can't put them out. And they grow too hot, too big, too fast, and that's why they go for so long and so far. We will manage our forests, and we will stop making Canada rich off of our wood products. We will make California rich. And here's a big one. In my county, the edge of my county and Imperial County is the largest lithium deposit in the world. When you mine lithium, every single one of the rare earth elements comes with it. And right now, China supplies the entire world with lithium and rare earth elements. We are completely 100% dependent on them. California should be supplying the world with lithium and rare earth elements. And currently, the state of California is preventing that mine from opening. They want us reliant upon China. I am going to fast track those applications, fast track that permitting process, and we are going to open that mine. We will generate revenue for the state. And when I do those 3 things, the lithium, the oil, and the logging, and I already told you, we're getting rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. You all are no longer going to be paying a California state income tax. There are 10 states in the country that don't tax their residents. They're already proving it can be done. And those 10 states are thriving. I'm not going to tell you which 10 states they are. But if you just think about where all your friends and family are moving to, it's those 10 states. Those 10 states' governors are traveling to the state of California and taking our manufacturing businesses and our big businesses back to their states. And we should be doing the same thing here. As your governor, I will make California the most business-friendly state in the country. Our building industry is going to thrive. We will build homes like no other time in history of California. We are about 3.5 million houses short of what we need for the people here in California. And in California, just because of the regulation, it takes between 3 and 5 years to build a house. In the rest of the country, it's between 3 and 5 months to build a house. I don't care who you talk to that is a builder, whether they build one house at a time or whether they build entire communities, they will tell you the same thing. The price of a home, a minimum of 1/3 of it, it could be more depending on where it's built, but an absolute minimum of 1/3 of the price of a new home is strictly to recover the fees that the government, state government, takes from builders just to build that home. So the California median home price is $900,000. The rest of the country is $400,000. It is the regulatory environment, the bureaucratic red tape, and the environmental extremism that is preventing these houses from being built. Builders can no longer afford to build homes that we can afford. There are houses being built, but they're houses being built for people's second and third homes. People who are well off that can afford a $900,000 house or a $1.2 million house. Where are the $250,000 homes? Because they're in every other state. Where are the 400,000 mid-range homes? They're in other states. They're not in California, because California government has ensured that through the regulatory process, those don't exist. I am going to remove that regulatory environment. We are going to allow our builders to build homes, and we are going to change the environment in California. So right there, I fixed everything for us. That was like a 30,000 foot level. I'm going to open it up to any questions that you may have. I'm sure there was a lot. In my head, there were things that I skipped over and didn't really go into detail. Ask. What I don't want is you leaving saying, I wish he would have said this, or he didn't say anything about X. You should have asked. Nobody cared. Okay. Yes, ma'am. You absolutely should. You are absolutely correct. And the water issue that we have, I'm telling you, it is government created. I have talked with the water boards. I have talked with the water districts. I have talked with the people who are responsible for water. And they are just as dumbfounded as all of us are, because they have the answers to fix it. They just can't get it through that building in Sacramento. There is just no desire to give water back to us. They want the control over the water so they can raise your rates, so they can keep you from having more water. And really, it's an environmental activism role. I think I screwed up timing after I said that.
No worries. I just wanted to say we do have a microphone here for Q&A. That way everyone can see. So if you can line up here for Q&A, that way we can do this orderly real quick. That way we can get through them and keep track. No, it's okay.
Okay, so you're absolutely right. I want to tell you another little thing about water, just because that question, it kind of raised it for me. Metropolitan Water District is Los Angeles. It's the Southern California Water District. They serve 19 million people. It's the largest water district in the entire world. One district has 19 million customers. Southern California gets the majority of its water from the Colorado River. And the Colorado River watershed is controlled by the federal government. There's 5 states that are involved in the Colorado River watershed, and California is a predominant user of Colorado River water. The other states want to buy out our shares. We completely give up our shares over to them so they can utilize that water as it goes through their states before it gets to us. And in turn, they are going to pay to build all of the desalination plants that we could ever need in California. And our state said no. The state government said no. That right there is the proof that they don't want us to have water. They don't want us to be able to drink water that tastes good or water that is safe for us. It is a big, big, big control problem that we are going to fix. There are many people, I'm promising you, there are many people out there in the industry that know how to fix it, know what needs to be done. It's just the government that's stopping it from happening, and I am no longer going to do that. I'm giving everything back to you all. Yes, ma'am.
So you were saying that we've lost 4 reservoirs, and do you have a plan to reinstate those?
Absolutely.
Or buy or build more? Can you?
Yes.
And I have one other question. And can you force the schools to start teaching phonics at a first grade level?
Yes. That actually, it's not just a first grade level. That's how we know that's how you learn to read.
That's how I learned, and
that's how everybody learns. So we had a proven system to teach people how to read, and they changed it. And they're a complete failure of leadership, really. because they're not willing to admit that they were wrong and go back to something that worked. And we are going to go back. It's proven all across the country that that's how you teach kids to read, is through phonics. And yes, we will do that again. So the water problem is very, very easy. These dams are not being built because of environmental regulations and lawsuits and building costs, all through bureaucracy, red tape, and these boards and commissions. So for anyone that knows, and these are the big ones. Does everybody know what CEQA is? California Environmental Quality Act. How about California Coastal Commission? CARB, California Air Resource Board. Well, all three of those entities are gone on day one. All of the sites for reservoirs across the state have already been identified. It's just we can't get through the regulatory process to even start them. And then when you want to, it's about money, about whether or not you're going to be able to afford to do it. And I will tell you this, after I remove all the regulations, which are a stroke of a pen, I'll be calling our president, not to say that I'm suing him, but to say that I need his help. And we send this beautiful ton of people and organization called the Army Corps of Engineers all across the world to provide infrastructure. Why would we not use them in California? I will ask him for them to come start building us dams, and I guarantee you he's going to say yes. We will have the water that we need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. We in California actually have a manufactured housing crisis, and it's two things. One, they want to build all of the houses on top of each other and have congested housing, like massive.
Yeah.
And the second thing is we, with 7 other sanctuary states, have housed at least 30, if not 50 million illegal entry persons in our towns and cities. What are you going to do to help the sheriff's office and the police and ICE get these people out of our country?
Well, I'm going to abandon all of the sheriffs. I don't like any of them. It's me that's affecting. It's affecting sheriffs all across the state. Sanctuary state status in California absolutely has to go. I am currently in a lawsuit. It's been three and a half years, something like that I have been suing the state of California because sanctuary state law is unconstitutional, because it forces me to violate either federal or state law. I'm going to win in court because it is cut and dry unconstitutional, but they are spending millions of your tax dollars fighting it. Eventually, I will win in court, or you're going to elect me as your governor, and then we're going to win anyway. I'm just going to stop defending it, and we're going to get rid of it. But it is unconstitutional. We have to allow the federal government back into our jails. We have to allow sheriffs to cooperate with the federal government to deport those people that are victimizing us. So that is all one thing.
Even the ones that aren't victimizing us, that are just here?
Well, I'm going to go a little bit sideways on you there. That is the federal government's role, specifically put in the Constitution, that it is not state government's role. It is the federal government's role. And I will tell you, as a 33-year law enforcement professional, we cannot have your police officers and your deputy sheriffs out in black and whites enforcing immigration laws, because this is what happens. I cannot have a 13-year-old girl be repeatedly raped under the threat of deportation for her or her family. I have to have her 100% confident that when she sees a uniform, she can run to that person for help. And we absolutely know that right now, because of sanctuary state, because of dishonest, disingenuous politicians and their rhetoric, they are not reporting crimes, and there are people being victimized over and over and over by criminals because law enforcement has been made part of immigration. And local law enforcement is never and has never been a part of local immigration. We are protectors in our community. Once you get arrested and go to jail, that's a whole different story. You've got to go, and we're going to turn you over.
Will you allow the National Guard to come?
National Guard can do anything they want.
Okay.
That's up to the president if he wants to do that. Absolutely. There is an absolute requirement that states work with the federal government, not against them. Yes, ma'am.
On the topic of abortion, I recognize that this is supported in our California state law, or our California Constitution. However, I'd like to ask you personally, if you know the facts of what an abortion is and how they are performed. And I ask because I have found that most are unfamiliar with the facts of abortion, the abortion procedures, and even the pro-choice people, once they know what an abortion is and they've actually seen the video, they change their position.
I'll stop you. I am unapologetically pro-life. I am a protector of life, unapologetically. And as your governor, you are absolutely correct. Unfortunately, this state voted and put it into the Constitution. Until you all vote, you can all take it back. But the governor can change nothing. What I can do is I am not going to use your taxpayer money to fund abortions.
So I would like to have the question I asked answered, though. Are you familiar with
I know exactly what an abortion
procedures?
I know exactly what an abortion is. I am 100% pro-life.
Okay.
Hi, Sheriff Bianco. Thanks for being here today.
Of course.
I had to think of a question off the cuff because they asked my question. So, capital punishment, can you get that back on track?
100%.
Great.
Yes. The death penalty will be enforced.
Right. And can state leaders fix the judge problem with the leniency and let them on back on the street?
The entire criminal justice system has to be revamped. We have gone pro-criminal. The state legislature is undeniably has a love affair with criminals. And they don't care about us law-abiding residents, and they don't care about victims. They only care about criminals who they openly say, the legislature, the majority of the legislature openly says that the people in jail and prisons are victims of society, that it is your fault that people commit crimes, and it has to absolutely be changed. As governor, I appoint judges. There will not be one single judge appointed that it does not have a complete history of adherence to our laws, adherence to our Constitution, and no even show or remotely close any type of personal agenda in the enforcement of law.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Bianco. I'm currently a college student, and one of the big problems we face is we have tons of homeless all over our campus. And I was wondering what your solution would be to that. Yeah, so that is I just learned that I was talking to a man yesterday, or no, it was this morning. I don't even know what my days are, how many events I go to. It was this morning. He was telling me that he is paying $40,000 a year for his daughter to go to college here in California. $40,000. Who can afford that? That is absolutely nuts, especially just a kid wanting to. I mean, you can barely, if you're going to school full time, I don't think it's possible to have a job that would make you $40,000, let alone give you spending money. So one of the issues that we have is when I was in college, if you could afford it, you just got your apartment somewhere else off campus. But if you didn't afford it, there was housing on campus. Why do we not have housing on campus that you're not paying through the teeth for? For a college to actually allow and know that their students are living in their cars in the parking lot or on campus or underneath a bridge somewhere close to campus, they should all be embarrassed. And I will tell you this, none of those administrators should have that job. They should all be getting rid of. We absolutely have to remake and remodel our education system to drive down these costs. It shouldn't be that expensive, but the amount of homes or the cost of homes is also an issue, and that's the homeless issue for college kids is not the same as the homeless issue that we see people living in tents under sidewalk or under overpasses and in parks and all of those things. That's a completely different issue that I'm promising you that you will never see again within 2 years. We will get rid of what you see as homeless within 2 years because it has nothing to do with homes.
Every single one of those people had a home that they were kicked out of or that they lost because of drug and alcohol addiction, mental health illness, or a combination of both. So there's two different issues to college homeless, kids homeless, and then homeless because of another issue. And not all homeless involves drugs and alcohol or mental illness, but the majority of it does. So your issue, I want you living in college housing, campus housing, like it used to be. And we're going to make sure that they start spending their money where they should be instead of in the exorbitant salaries and benefits for professors that teach one class a day.
All right, thank you so much.
I'm going to fix it for you.
Thank you.
I want my grandkids to be able to go to college here, and I don't want to pay for it.
Well, recently with technology, with AI increasing and the demands of AI, with data centers being built here in California, which take a tremendous amount of electricity and water resources. I'd like to know what you're going to do to handle that, because there's absolutely no regulation with that right now.
Yeah. So like any technology, it's coming, and we have to manage it. And we have to make sure that not only are we manage it, but we're taking advantage of it. Because if we don't, we're going to get left behind.
Our electricity is going to go up. I mean, our electricity bills are going to go up.
No, they're not. No, they're not. You have to realize this is, so in a law enforcement world, I believe nothing. I believe nothing until I verify it. And so in this world, I'm looking into this, and it is unbelievable the amount of information on both sides that are completely polar opposite. That means that neither one of them are being honest. It is not completely non-existent, and it is not the end of the world. And those are the sides that want us to believe that it is. And so I spoke with probably the world's preeminent expert on this just barely a month ago. And I raised the same thing. I'm like, all the dangers of the data centers. And he's like, why would you say that? I'm like, well, all the water that they use and everything. He's like, why would you say that? I'm like, well, TikTok told me.
No, I read
and he
peer-reviewed journals.
Yeah, and so he basically, he's getting into this. And he is going to be one of the leaders of it. And he said that basically, it's just, AI is going to be the next big thing in the entire world.
I understand.
And it's either going to be controlled by China, or it's going to be controlled by the US. And he said, so he said, your water issue. He said, do you know that I have data centers that use no water? I said, no, I didn't know that. He said, it's actually better to use no water than to water, but water is easier. But he said, we have them that don't use water. So the idea that they're using 800 billions of gallons of water is not true. And if you read the study about how much water they use, it's like, that doesn't even make sense. They're talking about how much water would go through a dam to generate the electricity to power a data center, and then they say it's going to use 800 billion gallons of water. It's only to scare us. It is only to scare us. The water that's used in the ones that use water is like a radiator in your car. It's not water that disappears and they need new water. It's a closed cycle that just keeps cooling the data center. So we have to take advantage of this. We have to get to the bottom of it. We have to get rid of all of the bad information, and we have to make sure, though, that there is no damage to the environment, that there is no damage to us, that there is no massive noise that we're never going to be able to fall asleep because they're so loud. And when you talk to the people that are building the data centers, they want to build them in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. They're not able to. So they're going to places that are trying to make it easy in cities and everything else, that they're going to benefit from it. They're going to have a benefit from it, but we're being misled on the real dangers of a data center. And if you really think back, the world was going to end when the automobile was made. And all of a sudden it didn't. And then the world was going to end when we got computers. It's like, oh my gosh, the world's ending, computers are going to take over. Well, it really didn't. The cell phone was the same thing. It's every technology that is unknown, we believe it's going to be the end of the world. And we have to embrace it, we have to manage it, we have to make sure we control it, but we also have to be honest about everything. And I don't think that any of us know the real story behind all of the data centers. But we will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
God bless you, Sheriff. Great to see you. My question is, I believe I'm, as the leading civil rights activist for Sonoma County, have more investigations open with the Fair Political Practices Commission than any other constituent in the state. There seems to be little movement with the Fair Political Practices Commission. They appear to defend politicians and give them slaps on the wrist with minimal fines. So how do we reform the FPPC?
Yeah, this is one of those things where, as the governor, I can control most everything. And it's a commission. It's the people that are on the FPPC. They have to be replaced because they are doing absolutely nothing. Here's something that, when it really comes down to most of the issues that we have with our government, it's a lack of enforcement. It's not because they can't do it, it's that they don't do it. And with the FPPC, it is even more prevalent. Because if you complain to the FPPC about a politician that is doing something wrong right now, their answer to you is, well, we don't want to influence an election, so we'll investigate it after everything's all over. And then when it's all over, if the person loses, it doesn't matter anyway, and you just forget about it and you move on. If they win, there's nothing going to happen anyway, and then it goes away still. And it's because of a lack of enforcement. People need to be fired, people need to be held accountable for doing their jobs, and the enforcement has to happen. Politicians are never going to change unless you make them. And the easiest way to make them is put me in charge of them so I can make sure that that enforcement is happening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I wanted to jump in here really quick, Sheriff. Sorry, I just wanted to mention that the Sheriff will be available after as well for meet and greet, pictures, all that, so you won't want to leave. So when we're finished with these when we're finished with these questions, we will be able to meet and greet the Sheriff personally and take some pictures, depending on how much time he has. Also, I just wanted to quickly thank the Standing Free volunteers as well and Standing Free givers for helping us to make these events happen. And also, one of the things that we always make as a huge priority as Christians and of course as a ministry is how important it is to have strong families and strong marriages. And one thing we appreciate about the Sheriff is that he's always traveling with his wife and makes that a huge priority. So, in light of that, I wanted to acknowledge my parents who are celebrating their 58th anniversary today. And they are spending their anniversary here with you guys and helping to put on this event. Dad is on the board and Mom is our VP of Operations. So I just want to acknowledge them. So rather than being in Hawaii, they're here with you, Sheriff. So
thank you.
And so just want to acknowledge them and thank you all for being here, and also acknowledge our Standing Free volunteers and Calvary volunteers, and thankful for Pastor Mike for allowing us to meet here and host events. We also have a giving slide as well. If you would like to give, we would really appreciate that. And I think the ushers may hand some offering bags through as well. But I just wanted to quickly interject that and acknowledge my parents, and also mention that the Sheriff will be available for speaking to you all individually after, depending on how much time we have. So let's jump back into the questions, though.
Good afternoon, Chad.
Hi.
I am a lifelong Californian who is
there you go.
approaching retirement. In addition to removing the state tax, are you looking at any other things to make California more retirement friendly?
Yes, absolutely, because currently in the state of California, if you're going to retire, the best way for you to retire is to move.
That's what I'm faced with.
And unfortunately, that really isn't the best for everyone. It's not best for your family. It's not best for us as you as a consumer or a business owner or anything else. We want people staying here. So the answer is yes. And I will say that taxes, as I move to make no one paying income taxes, the the easiest person to start with, or the easiest group of people to start with, is our military veterans. That will be almost immediately. We will stop the tax on military retirement because we are the only state in the entire country that taxes military retirement. And so we are going to end that almost immediately. Our retired people will be the next, and because it's a smaller group because everyone leaves. So that will be the next people that get their taxes eliminated first or second after the military. And for the rest of us, it's actually going to take probably 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years to get everything eliminated, but not for retirees. And I can tell you that we will do everything in our power to fight the attacks on Prop 13. And by the time we're all done, by the time we're done with remaking our tax system, our infrastructure in California and everything else, what our ultimate goal is the reduction of property taxes, not the increase of property taxes. So I'm telling you, what you are going to get from me, from California state government, is a government that every single day works to make your life easier and better, not you working hard to make California government bigger. It's government is supposed to be making your lives easier here, and that's how we're going to thrive as a state. So we will for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so
You're
much,
welcome.
and you have my vote.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for coming.
Of course.
So my question is actually more of a three-part question.
Real quick.
My question is more of a three-part question. First is, so the condemned, you said you're going to bring that back, but the housing of the condemned, are they going to stay in mainline, or are they going to go back to San Quentin?
No, the California model will go away. We don't have country clubs, we have state prisons. And we are going to manage our prisons how they're supposed to be managed, where we keep inmates safe from each other, and we keep staff safe from inmates. And for instance, the whole California model that did away with San Quentin, and San Quentin's now the California model, absolutely not. It's going back to how prisons are supposed to be run.
So that means also longer shoe terms?
Of course.
Okay. So the second question is, are we going to reopen prisons that
Every
were
single
closed?
one of them. Every single prison that's been closed will be reopened. And when I say every single, there actually is one in my county, Norco, that we will not be able to reopen. I don't even know how it lasted this long anyway. I don't even know how they are able to keep inmates in there. It's bad. So I don't even care about closing that one. But if we need more space, then we'll build another one. But the other ones that have been closed are perfectly good prisons that will be reopened again.
Okay. And then the third question is, what are you going to do to make it so that CDCR is finally paying enough money to attract and maintain mental health staff for the Enhanced Outpatient Program, the PIP program, and the triple CMS programs?
Yeah, that's easy. And that's one of the biggest issues that we have in California is they keep telling us we don't have money for things. It's just simply not true. It's just they'd rather spend it on something else. And that's where you have to have priorities. There has to be priorities of where government is spending its money, not on pie-in-the-sky things, not on personal agenda, political agenda, ideological agenda things. It's about the things that are making it possible for us to operate either, in this line of questions, it's safely in our jail and prison environment. And right now it's not.
No,
and we have to get back to that. And it has nothing to do with money. We generate $4 trillion a year in this state. We've never had a money problem. It is completely a money spending problem and a priority problem.
The problem is they don't budget it. They don't assume that
That's exactly what I'm telling you. That's exactly what I'm telling you. All of the people responsible for that are being fired and replaced. If you can't manage what you're given, you shouldn't have that position. And we're going to hold you accountable, remove you if you can't, and we will put people in those spots that are going to make it work.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Chad. You know who I am, but anyone in the audience that doesn't, I'm Siskiyou County Farmer David Collenberg, and I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. So in Northern California, we have three major problems: wolves, wildfires, and water. And we know if we don't fix the water in the north, there's not going to be any water in the south. Right. So on day one, will you commit to ending the emergency drought regulations that are in effect for water?
100%.
Thank you.
That lithium deposit you mentioned, what are the reasons the legislature and the regulators are giving for preventing us from exploiting it, and what might you think is the real reason?
Control and equality in the world. Equality in the world. It's they don't want, I mean, I hate to get politics, but they don't want to make America great again. They want the world to be equal, and they want to lower us to bring everybody else up. And not only am I all for making America great again, but I'm California first. And we are going to do everything we possibly can to make California the greatest state in the country again. And I'll go one step further. Not only is the state fighting it right now, but during the Biden administration, the federal government was trying to take over all of that land and make it a national park so we would never be able to mine it. For the sole reason of not being allowed to, they knew it was there. Everybody knows it's there. But this is about the lessening of the footprint of the United States in the world and making us all equal. I don't want to get conspiracy theory or anything else, but it is a purposeful stop so we can buy all of our things and be controlled by someone else.
Is it a globalist thing?
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you for being here. I've met you a few times, and I know you were under immense pressure by your opponent to drop out, and thank you for not doing that. When we met over a year ago, you were very consistent with your messaging. You haven't changed one bit. And one of the things that you emphasized to me, that if your opponent somehow gets up into the top two, that we're going to have a Democrat governor. Mm-hmm. Because of those facts of, first of all, unfortunately, we have Trump derangement syndrome, which is real. And if you have a Democrat running against a Republican here in the state of California, I think you made that loud and clear. So again, thank you for doing that. And also, for full disclosure, I'm an elected director of a water district in an adjacent county, and all your comments about water is spot on. So you've heard of the term, no farm, no food. Well, no water, no farms. So again, I really appreciate you doing that, and just wanted to know, what is your strategy going? We have a few more days left. What is your strategy going forward in terms of getting all those people over so we can get you into the top two?
Yeah, it's a great question, and the strategy is doing things like this, but then I can't do these all day long. When you leave here, you have to help me. You have to tell all the people that you know, the crowds that you're in front of, the church on Sunday tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of people that you're going to come in contact with. And we have to start talking about the future of our state. We have to start talking about values and how we're going to save it. And we just have to make sure that the biggest issue is people getting out and voting. We are looking at the ballot returns that they're, in some counties, they're looking okay. They're looking a little bit better than normal. But as bad as California is, it's still a horrible turnout. And we don't want to rely on everybody showing up on election day. It'll be great if they do, but we have to make sure that we convince them that they actually have to. And here's the biggest key. This is our state. This is your right to vote. Your right to pick who you want to represent you in government. Do not allow someone else to tell you who to vote for by scaring you into believing something of a poll of 600 people. Let me ask you this. Why do you think that all of these polls are coming out right now while we're voting? It's because they want to psychologically convince you who you should vote for. It's like, oh my gosh, that person's in dead last. Why would I vote for them? I'll vote for the guy in first so I can say I voted for the guy that won or the girl that won. We're being psychologically manipulated. As a politician, I will tell you this. Well, I can't believe I called myself a politician. But as a person in politics, I will tell you this. There is nothing about politics that involves integrity, honesty, or character. It is all about how we're going to cheat our way into making sure that we win. That's really what politicians do. And polling is the absolute worst. The absolute worst. These are all purchased polls to manipulate you into going a certain way. It's psychological warfare, and we've been falling victim of it forever. And let me ask you this. I'm guessing that just because of the church environment, there's predominantly more Republicans in here. If you voted how the polls wanted you to vote, Hillary Clinton was supposed to win by 16 points. Kamala Harris was supposed to win by the same amount. How did those polls work out? We just all went out and voted who we wanted for as president, and we won. And we can do the exact same thing here. I think there's going to be a whole lot of shocked people, that these people that normally believe they can pick the next governor and they can pick who's going to represent us. I think they're going to be quite shocked when they realize that the whole state is so sick and tired of this that we're all going to come out and vote for the right person.
Thank you. Just another quick comment regarding all of your debates that you had, and I watched all of them here that were televised. Every single one of your Democrat opponents all mentioned Trump. They all mentioned Trump. So it is real, and it's going to be a scary thing if we get into the...
Let me touch on that really, really quick, and I'll make it fast. The reality of California is Trump derangement syndrome is real. For almost every Democrat, the majority of no party preference, and even some Republicans. President Trump ran 3 statewide elections in this state, and he lost 60-40 in all 3 of them. He lost his last statewide election versus Kamala Harris. 60% of this state did not vote for Kamala Harris because they thought she was competent. They voted for her because they did not want to vote for Donald Trump. The debates said everything. Every single one of them blamed Trump for everything because they know that's how they're going to get the people that hate Donald Trump to support them. For me to win in November, this is what I need to win. And this is the path that we know we have. Every Republican's going to vote for me. The majority of independents will vote for me. And I currently have the endorsement of the American Independent Party, so that middle. But then, in a November election, a statewide election, I have to get a minimum of 15% Democrats to vote for me. 15%, maybe even closer to 20%. They will cross party lines, and they've proven it all across the country. A Democrat will cross party lines for their safety. For public safety, the safety of their kids, their safety of their businesses, their safety of their communities, they will vote for that. And we are in a position in California where crime and corruption are running amok, and everyone knows it. They will cross party lines. They will not cross party lines to vote for a Fox News host endorsed by Donald Trump. And that is simply a fact. That is why there is so much effort going into keeping me away from November. They know I'm going to beat them on the public safety platform, on keeping us safe and getting rid of the corruption. They know that's what California is going to vote for. So they are doing everything in their power to make sure that I don't make it past June. That is why we have to make sure that we don't listen to those polls, we don't fall for their money and for their influence, and we just vote for a better California.
Thank you, Sheriff Bianco, for being here. Thank you, Pastor Mike, for providing the venue. I'm running for Senate seat 10 for California, and your platform is exactly like mine, so I support you 100%. And I'm finding that in the different forums that I've been in, that and I'm the only Republican, and there are 5 Democrats, and they all want to tax. Their whole thing is tax, and I'm totally against that. So I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate your platform, and if I do win and you win, I'm going to look forward to working with you as my boss. So thank you so very much, and the Lord keep you and save you, and I do hope you win.
Oh, thank
you. Oh, by the way, I voted for you.
Thank you. That was an easy question.
So Cooper, I hope you don't mind an equal opportunity Q&A here. I'm going to do 3, hopefully, quick questions. So we can go 3 days without water, but we can't go 3 minutes without air. What do you know about geoengineering and all the garbage that's being put into our air? I do know that there are states that have already outlawed it, so it must be real. And what are you going to do about it? First question.
So we have to, we know it. We know that all of those chemicals that are going into our sky are falling on us. We absolutely know that throughout our recent history, everything is getting worse with our health. And there are many things that are going into it, but we can't say that this isn't one of them. The bad part about that is even though the states are doing that and making it illegal, it's the noise that we're making, and it's the influence that we have to put on Washington to stop it, because how the U.S. works is we only get to control 1,200 feet up. So even though these states are making it illegal, which we could do the same thing, and I have no problem doing it, we can't have this being put on our crops and on our kids and on us and everything else, our water supplies. This is a federal government issue, and we have to put so much effort on the federal government to stop it, because we can control 1,200 feet down, but not above that 1,200 foot level. So all of those planes that are doing this, there is nothing a state can do to stop it.
So we don't have control of our own local airports, and they're coming from
You have control of the airport, but they're not actually doing it in the airport. They're doing it in the skies, in federally controlled skies.
But don't the planes take off locally? Are they flying from state to state?
I get you, and the answer is no. There is nothing we can do. That's why they're not stopping it in those other states. They're making a statement, and they are saying that it is against the law to do it here, but it is really a statement. It's just political theater to say that we are against it. And California is the largest state. We can join with the others, Texas and Florida, and say, look, our legislators control a whole big chunk of Washington when you add the 3 biggest ones together, and we can make a difference there, and we should be making a difference there. But the reality is, on a state level, we can't stop what they're doing in federal airspace.
So do you have the contacts to work with those other
Yes.
states? Okay.
Yes.
So my other question, we just talked about it, the whole polling thing. Your flyer that I just picked up in the lobby has an April 5th poll that shows you at the top, and Hilton right below you. You were at 13, he was at 12. This poll was 2 months ago. I can't even read what the source is. Is there someone here that can share the source? And if you thought this was a viable poll, can we look at it now to see what that poll is telling us today?
Yeah, so we didn't pay for any polls. So that particular poll is a poll of what is happening for someone else to influence. And so this is what I want to put out. That was only 2 months ago. Tell me how in 2 months, and I hope you all watched the debates, because if you watch the debates and then paid attention to all of the comments and social media from every news station across the state, everyone is all on board with me. So explain how from a Monday to a Wednesday, I go from leading the polls to number 4th or number 5th. It's physically impossible. It's mathematically impossible. And even when you add up the numbers on the polls today, I don't even know who made that poll. I don't even know who took it, but all of the polls, you can find them all from, I lost it. It'll pop into my head and I'll tell you while you're sitting down. But you can find all of those polls. There's a list of every poll that's been published. And here's the thing about polls. Just because someone's paying for a poll doesn't mean it gets published. If they don't like the results, they just keep it quiet. But if they say, oh, this is exactly what we wanted, then they post it. And I don't remember who posted that. I don't even know which poll it is.
I can't even read it. It's so blurry here. But my
they're
question
all out there.
My question was more to do with if you guys don't believe, your campaign doesn't believe in polling, why did you take up a quarter of this page to put a poll that's 2 months old to share with everybody here? That's what I'm
to show that other people are telling you I'm leading in the polls. And that's what we've been doing from the very beginning.
Okay. All right, my last question is, when you were speaking, I took a note that you were governing over 4,400 employees in your organization to the tune of $1.3 billion. Your flyer here says 3,600 personnel. So was there an increase over the years?
I have never seen that before in my life. So
Okay.
I don't think, I'm glad
your
that someone
handed it to me.
I'm glad that someone made it for us, and I'm glad that they gave you flyers. That's not one of my official
It was this lady with the cowboy hat on. It was someone on your team. It wasn't just some person random in the lobby. So my question, I'm not questioning the numbers.
I can tell where you're going even with your questioning.
My question has to do with over the 8 years already that you've been, almost 8 years in your office, what has been the improvement? If your group has...
I went from near failure of a sheriff's office where I was losing between 35 and 40 deputies every 2 weeks, where as a sheriff's office, the fourth largest in the country, I was going to have to contract with a police agency to provide my county resident service. We were failing. And I went from that to one of the most proactive, most respected law enforcement agencies in the entire country.
And definitely the biggest.
I have done
one of the biggest.
absolutely everything to go from the brink of failure to the top of the ladder.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm glad she mentioned chemtrails because I was going to talk about the aerosol.
Yes.
Aerosol spraying. Okay, so I'm gonna touch on 4 things that have been touched on.
Real fast.
But we're not, you don't have to address them, but one thing hasn't.
No, but we have lots more questions.
Okay, so you talked about sanctuary state, but not really sanctuary cities. That's just one thing. Homelessness on campuses, but homelessness statewide hasn't fully been addressed. My top voting issue is always protection of the unborn, so thank you for, I think California should just go full on. Outlaw abortion, and especially the importing of the misoprostol, the abortion pill.
Yes.
Hopefully we can do that. Okay, so so this hasn't been addressed. Seems to me that zoning laws have been trampled, and every square inch is getting packed in with like these high density, massive buildings that I don't think we really want.
You don't. So that is the only question that you said was a state level. So we are going to give control back to local governments to manage their land, their building, because you're voting for those local officials on how to manage your local governments and your local communities.
Which I think we already have.
You don't. It was taken away from you. The state is controlling that. We are giving that back to the counties, back to the cities, instead of the state telling a rural part of California that you can't build a single family home unless you build apartment complexes first.
Right.
Well, in many parts of the state, they not only don't want them, there's no need for them. So why would you have a blanket statement that does it? The state shouldn't have control over that. But local governments gave it up to the state without a fight. And as the governor, we will give it back so the local governments can control that. Then you can worry about your local cities, city council, and county governments, and you can get that all back.
Can we have some of them torn down? They're so ugly.
Yes.
Hi, thank you, Sheriff, for being here, and also for Pastor Mike to have, the place for this. Definitely, full disclosure. I'm usually Instagram news guy. I will tell other people about all this stuff. So having to hear from other people all this stuff and validating it a little bit. Thank you for answering the questions and so on. So, but my question is specifically on 2A and what you can do for how much ammo is now. It's a lot. What are some things moving forward that you haven't planned?
Yeah, we will change the entire agenda on the anti-gun movement in California. It is our constitutional right. We've been in. I'm actually a little bit surprised that there should be more lawsuits going against the state. The bad part is they fight them forever, and then really their whole goal is to get you to run out of money so you quit fighting it while they're using your taxpayer money to defend against it. So as the governor, though, I can control that money. I can stop those suits from continuing. You're going to win by default in those particular situations. But the California gun roster has to go. Your inability to buy guns that every other person in the country can buy just because you live in California is crazy. As a 33-year law enforcement professional, I will speak for every law enforcement officer in this state. There is not one single gun law that keeps you safe. Not one. Because criminals don't care about the laws. They don't care that it's illegal to have a gun. Murder is illegal. They don't care about that either. You're not being kept safe. You're being prevented from protecting yourself or exercising your Second Amendment rights. And we are going to get the vast majority of those laws, if not all of them, repealed.
One follow-up question. One follow-up question would be for EDC, and if there's anything that you can do for changes on that one.
What's EDC?
Hand carry or
CCW?
CCW.
CCW. Yeah. So yes. So we actually have a very easy process in the state of California, but it's influenced heavily with sheriffs or chiefs of police that don't want to issue. And it's along the same lines. You shouldn't be punished for living in a county where someone else gets theirs freely. I don't have the exact answer. I'm not really a fan of taking it back to the state and making the state have it in case we get a governor 20 years down the road that takes advantage of that. But there has to be precautions put into place, and there has to be systems changed within that process to kind of eliminate and make it to where everyone has the same opportunity. I've issued over 70,000 in my county, and there are the same size counties or bigger that haven't issued 1,000 since in the last 7 years that I've been the sheriff. So there is a very huge discrepancy that we have to manage for all of your rights in other parts of the state that don't live in my county. Other than that, you can move to Riverside County.
Thank you very much.
First of all, thank you so much for being here, and God bless you.
Thank you.
I'm a little bit nervous. This is my first time being
You're
here.
going to be fine.
And I do want to, I know one of the fellows here did mention in regards to retirement, making it more friendly again. I'm asking for the fact that my parents have worked in this land and have busted their ass, and I don't think it's unfair, that they have to pay taxes on a home that it's already theirs.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you. That's in our tax code that we are going to have to change. That was kind of, I didn't say that, but that's kind of along the lines of retired people. For the most part, I mean, I'm not retired yet because I still have a house payment, and I don't plan on retiring until I don't have a house payment. So that's an easy fix of saying, when you don't have a house payment, why are you still paying taxes on it? There's a big argument to say, I already paid taxes on it once. Why am I continuing to pay taxes? So the property tax is a massive, massive issue that we have to undertake. The bigger issue for me that is a bigger bite out of, or a benefit to you, is income tax. That takes far more money, far more amounts of money than property tax. So we're going to deal with the income tax first, and then as we go downhill, we're going to do everything we can to eliminate. I doubt if we're ever going to be able to eliminate it, because we have to be realistic and say that we do pay taxes for a reason. It's just that money that does go should be used properly.
Yes. And another question I have in regards to medical insurances right now, in regards to medical being a whole fraud. And we're paying massive, insurance rates, et cetera, especially for me that I have a prosthetic and I have to pay for this.
We can do a ton at the state level. Some of it is federal, but we can do a ton at the state level to eliminate a lot of the costs that we have. The rising costs are for hospitals and doctors to maintain their money. But unfortunately, the big money is going to pharmaceuticals and bigger companies that are maintaining all of that and managing all of that. But at a state level, we can rearrange that process. We can put it more on you and the doctor level instead of the insurance company and the pharmaceutical company that sometimes run that doctor. Massive changes have to be made. But I will tell you this, there is two major issues in the cost of medical, particularly in California, and it's the fraud and abuse that doctors and hospitals and the people at the bottom have to recover, that they're being victimized for, the costs because of all the waste, fraud, and the abuse that's happening. And then another is through all of our hospitals throughout the state that are being, it's seismic regulations, and it's a bill that was passed that they are just forcing every couple of years. They force hospitals they have an imaginary earthquake situation that has never happened in our world. ever. And it is like, how in the world? Like, we're talking 7, they're talking 15 earthquake. And they want the hospitals to be so secure that they don't even lose power if that earthquake happens. Well, that's just an absolute impossibility. But it's to the tune of 10 billion, 80 billion, 100 billion. When you add them all together, it's probably in the hundreds of billions of dollars that those hospitals have to pay for the retrofit to something that's non-existent, that they have to make that up. We're paying for it, but it's the state that's making them do it. And it's through that crazy regulatory environment that it's like they don't want anything to work in California. It's almost like they're purposely driving up the cost of everything just to get us all to leave. It makes absolutely no sense, but that regulatory environment is going to take care of a lot of this.
Thank you. And the last question, we all have family that is growing here in California, especially not only for my nephews, baby nephews. I am afraid right now in regards to the school systems right now, putting in their heads ideologies, woke ideologies. What would you do to eliminate that and bring back an actual school system?
Yes, so that's a great question. I can control the money. So if they're going to teach that, they're not going to get the money. And then we will also be moving to an educational savings plan for students that you as the parent controls, and wherever you choose to send your child, that's where that money is going to go. And so that money will be able to be used at public schools, public-private charters, or even homeschool. So if a school wants your child and wants your business, they better offer you something to want you to have your child go to that school. That's how we create success. That's how we force them to do better and educate our kids. And you're going to get to decide where your kids go.
Thank you, and God bless you again.
Thank you.
And make California great again.
We will.
You have my vote.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to...
Real fast.
Yeah, let's get through
One
some of these
question
really
each.
quick. Yes.
And no statements, a real quick question.
Yeah, Chad, my name's Robert Hobbs, and I've been a resident of San Jose all my life, except for the 2 years.
Can you come
right
a
to
little
the
closer?
question.
My question to you is, I think it would have been very important as California conservatism. I've watched it from the Reagan years all the way up until now. Conservatism is being squashed. And unfortunately, if we are going to make any gains, we have to all be team players. And the question I ask to you is, why didn't you 2 weeks ago back Steve Hilton when he obviously was way ahead in the polls?
I've answered this already. If you believe the polls, Hillary Clinton was your president. So was Kamala Harris. You're being influenced, and I will tell you this. Never would I give up fighting for California because someone told me to. And I even explained to you, and unfortunately, if you've bought off on this or if you've bought into Steve Hilton, the funny thing is, there's a big
chance that we might not get a conservative.
The funny thing is, you've said it twice now. You've said conservative, conservative, conservative. Why are you telling me to back down to someone that has?
I'm asking you to play team.
He has repeatedly told you that he's not a Republican. So I don't know why you want to talk about conservatism and me back down. I appreciate your comment.
He's conservative. You don't have to be
okay, thank you.
Republican to be conservative.
I appreciate your statement. Thank you.
All right.
I'm short. So you basically answered my questions about the polling and everything. And I just wanted to say, I know there's separation between church and state. I'm sorry. You answered all my main question was about the polling, and you answered it. And we have supposedly separation between church and state. I come to here tomorrow. I'm wearing my Bianco shirt. Love you. Praying for you, and we're going to take it.
Thank you.
Really quick though, your UN, it is a UN world equity thing,
yes.
And you can find that the Biden administration actually
We're running out of time, and there's 10 more.
My question is, speaking of fraud, There are 8 documentaries on election fraud about Hammer and Scorecard. What are you going to, even if they say you didn't win, will you please vow to take it to the courts? Because I was a poll worker here in Alameda County, and I got fired on my second day of the recall for finding fraud. So I'm just asking you, will you please not give up and keep fighting?
We're fighting for California.
Regardless.
Thank
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next.
Well, I went to the back of the line so I could ask 2 questions, because the first one is simple. Will the gas tax go away?
Yes,
That's the first
but
one.
there will be more than just the gas tax. The
Yes.
61 cents is going away, and then it's really more like $1.20, $1.30 in regulatory fees. That's going away also.
And if I may, I've been fighting for you for months on
Thank you.
TikTok
Thank
and
you.
Facebook. I really believe in you, and thank you for telling the Latino people the actual truth. Because out of every single person that has been on the campaign has not told them that truth, and that is that the Biden administration allowed people to come in under refugees, asylum, and TPS status.
Yeah.
So my actual question for you is, and I'm not gonna ask you for amnesty because I don't believe in that either.
Yeah.
So my question is there any way that you could work with President Trump so that we can identify the people that were not vetted properly so that they can go back to where they came from?
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
That's what has to happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have my vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff, for standing on the rock and shining your light. My question is, would you elaborate on the education system? Because I see the schools are more interested in attendance just to collect the state funds versus nourishing and
Yes.
educating the students. Thank
Yes,
you.
and that's the purpose of going to an education savings plan for a student. So that money, so like right now, Governor Newsom just signed his bill that says $28,000 is what's going to the education of each of our kids. $28,000. That's crazy. It's absolute crazy. There are other states that are doing it at a fraction, some of them in half, educating our kids and getting much better results. So when you make that education savings plan and it follows the student, you as the parent gets to decide where your child is going to go. And when you decide that, that's when the school gets the money, not beforehand, and not with your child just sitting in a chair, because that's what it is right now based on attendance. They're even forcing you out of homeschool with regulations back into the public schools, because that's how it's designed, is wherever that kid is in that chair, that's who gets the money. We're going to make it to where if you want the money as a school, you better entice parents to send their kids there by offering their kids something that is benefiting them more than another place, whether it be science, an emphasis on science, an emphasis on art, an emphasis on athletics, an emphasis on reading, on history, on government, on something. But you better show results so the parents want the kids to be going to that school. It's not going to just be a guaranteed give me that you're going to get the money. That's how you hold them accountable, and you increase their capability of even educating our kids, because they're going to be forced to.
All right, well, that's going to be our last question there.
I'll get you over there.
Yeah, so thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Yes, appreciate it. So last words, and then...
Sure, I just appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you all coming out. California is worth saving. California is the greatest state in the country, and I am offering the chance for California, for all of us, to once again be extremely proud to say we're from California. And in the end, I came here for my California dream from another state, and I achieved it. I worked hard, and I was able to achieve it. And I want to give that back and make that dream attainable for your kids, for your grandkids, and for everyone else to come, because California truly is the best state in the country. We just have to take it back from a failed government. So thank you all very, very much, and continue fighting for our beautiful state.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it. Okay, so real quick, to make this orderly, please line up down the middle. Please line up down the middle. The sheriff's going to be right over here on stage right. The line will run across the front of the stage and down the middle aisle. The middle aisle, then across the front of the stage. Right across the stage here and down the middle aisle, not down this aisle, down the middle aisle. So if you are in this aisle, you are in the wrong aisle. Please line up in the middle. If you'd like a picture, please have your phone out and the camera app open and ready. Okay, and if anybody needs a flyer or anything like that, you are welcome to speak to